My next guest has been on this show many times over the years as a stand-up comedian. Now he has a new book out entitled Cancer on $5 a Day, Chemo Not Included. Please welcome Robert Schimmel. Very nice to see you.
Nice to see you, too.
I say that all the time, but it really is so nice to see you. There's a lot of funny stuff in this book, but of course, it comes out of a very serious place.
Yeah.
You had a battle with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and so many questions. First of all, when you look through the book, getting your family to deal with this, you know, and how your family dealt with it, was that difficult? Was that an adjustment?
Yeah, well, my parents took it pretty hard, and they were in there with me when I got diagnosed. And the great thing was my doctor said, if you're open-minded, you might consider marijuana because it helps with the nausea and the appetite. And I'm thinking, wow, this is a dream come true. I got a doctor at Mayo Clinic telling me I could smoke pot in front of my parents. Where was this guy like 25 years ago? So then my mom was coming to visit me once, and she said, Bob, can I bring you anything? And I said, could you stop at the 7-Eleven and get me some rolling papers? So she's a 70-year-old Holocaust survivor.
Right.
You know, she sounds like Zsa Zsa Gabor. She calls me and she goes, I'm at the 7-Eleven. They have 20 different kinds here. I don't know which one you use. And I said, it's a white pack with a guy on it. And she said, not the anti-Semitic looking guy. And I said, the zigzag guy's anti-Semitic?
Well, this is the thing is, so, you know, and you hear this, you hear a lot of people talk about how positive attitude will help you in a health crisis, and sometimes it can feel like, really? Does it really? It's very clear that your sense of humor got you through this.
Yeah, well, I do believe that positive attitude and humor does help. And the first time I went for chemotherapy, I was in the infusion center at Mayo Clinic, and I was sitting next to this guy, and I said, how you doing? He said, how do you think I'm doing? I have cancer. And I said, well, so do I. And he said, good for you. So this nurse comes over, and she goes, you know, change your seat. This guy has a negative attitude, and you don't need that in your life. You need all the positive energy you could muster. And I couldn't move my seat because I wanted to know why that guy was that way, and I wanted to see if I could make him laugh. So I asked him if he went to any support group meetings, and he said he didn't believe in that. And I said, well, I went last night because I wanted to be prepared for today. And there was a lady there that was, you know, saying that she might have to get a part of her breast removed and that she's afraid her husband won't find her sexy anymore. And I said, and I was looking at this lady thinking, you wouldn't be sexy with 3 tits. And this guy almost fell out of... This guy almost fell out of his chair. They came over, and they said, what did you say to this guy? Because we've never seen him smile. And 21 days later, I go back for my next treatment. That guy was saving me a seat and told me jokes
Right
for
over
4
here.
hours.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, good for you. Good for you. One of the adjustments that a lot of people have to make when they go through chemo is hair loss. And people can be vain and they have different strategies. How did you handle this?
Well, I was losing my hair already. And, you know, they do have a guy that comes to see you that sells wigs. And he has like an 8x10 ring binder and headshots with different wigs on it. And he said they're virtually undetectable. And I said, really? Because I was bald when I started. I think it would be kind of detectable if I walked out with a full head of hair. And
look what the chemo did, yeah.
But they have wigs for everywhere. So I'm telling the guy, great, because I lost everything. I mean, you lose everything. So I said, hey, you got a wig for, you know, down there? And he goes, as a matter of fact, we do. And I said, you sell wigs? And the guy said, it's not called a wig. It's called a merkin.
Oh, good, because that you can say on TV.
Yeah. I went through cancer. What are the censors going to do to me? So it's a
merkin, yeah.
Yeah, it's a merkin, and those are detectable too. First of all, just to convince somebody that you trim your pubic hair with a protractor would be an accomplishment, because it looks like a donut that somebody dropped on a barbershop floor, and it's got a hole in the middle that you slide it on, and they have different models: the executive, the adventurer, the salt and pepper. They do. It's the stupidest thing I ever bought in my life.
I want the executive.
Yeah.
For when I go to important things, you know. That's fantastic. I can attest to this because you, as I said, you've been coming on the show for many years, but before you got sick, and your physical appearance, and you can really see it when you look through some of the pictures in the book, you changed so much. Were there, people who reacted strangely to you because you lost so much weight and you lost your hair? Did they react to you differently?
Well, yeah, because you definitely have a look when you're going through chemotherapy. And actually, when I was here to do your show, right after I finished treatment, I was walking down Broadway, and I had a baseball hat on, completely bald. I had a little hair right here, and no eyebrows, no eyelashes. And Jackie Mason is walking up Broadway with like 2 of his friends, and he comes over and he goes, "Oh my God, what happened to you?" And I said, "I just finished chemotherapy." And he said, "Chemotherapy? You had cancer? What kind?" I said, "Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma." And he said, "Are you okay now?" And I said, "Yeah." And he says to his friends, "I want you to meet a real funny guy, Howie Mandel." And I'm like, "What?" And one of the guys goes, "He doesn't look like Howie." And he said, "Of course he doesn't. He just finished chemotherapy. He lost a lot of weight." So he said...
And he really believed you were Howie Mandel, yeah.
Oh, he believed I was Howie Mandel. So then he said, "Why don't we have dinner together tonight?" And I said, "Okay." And he said, "Where are you staying?" I said, "At the Parker Meridian." And he said, "Under what name?" And I said, "Robert Schimmel." And he said, "Robert Schimmel?" He said, "How did you come up with that name?" and I said, "That's my real name." And he said, and Howie Mandel is your stage name?" So he felt so bad.
At this point, it's too late, yeah.
I didn't have the balls to tell him that I wasn't Howie. I just let him believe it. And
yeah.
So people started hearing that Howie was on chemo, and then I go to do the comedy festival in Montreal, and when I get there, I check into the hotel, the first person I run into is Howie, and he comes over and says, "So how am I doing?"
Wow. That's just the tip of the iceberg. There are so many great, really funny stories in this book. Get this book, Cancer on $5 a Day, Chemo Not Included.
Yeah, I wrote it because I wanted people to know that you can take that journey and come back and have a real life after. They told me when I lost a testicle, and not the cancer, my insurance has a really horrible copay. And they said that I would never have children again, and that was on June 5th, 2000. And on June 5th, 2003, my wife and I had a son, and they said the odds of that were like 1 in 1.5 million. And, oh, thanks.
God bless. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, and...
the odds of him being black were like 75 million to 1, so he really is a miracle baby.
Get this book. Go out and get this book. And Robert Schimmel, I'm so happy for you. We're thrilled that you're back here, and as funny as ever. James Blunt coming up. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Oh, listen, you're doing something no one can. I told him listen twice.
All right, everybody, we are back. Fine show tonight. Fine show coming up tomorrow night from the new film Penelope. Christina Ricci going to be joining me. From Saturday Night Live, Jason Sudeikis will be here, and musical guest Shooter Jennings. So watch that show. We'll take a break. When we come back, James Blunt will be here. We'll see you in a second.